Governor.
Maybe I should start getting like a stand-up comedian or background music that we could all dance to. I can't even imagine. I imagine he goes from one of these to the next all day long.
No doubt.
Kathy, while we're reading, do you have any things just of general interest to Pro 15 type of issues?
Well, I guess a couple of things. We were on, I was on a call yesterday. Well, a call, several calls, but one was looking at the state's budget. And I noticed this morning that they're talking about cutting higher ed and trying to leave K-12 alone. But they've got about $2 to $3 billion to cut. But they're waiting, I think it's to the 11th, which would be next Monday, for the new forecast to come out as far as earnings and revenues are, to see where they're going from there. The other thing that I'm hearing is the liability issue. And when I thought of liability, I was thinking just for the, the business, but the employee, for the most part, would be covered under workman's comp. But the business could have a liability, but the customer. So what are you going to do if you don't maintain the suggested guidelines and a customer supposedly picks up COVID in your store? And then there was the manufacturing liability. So these companies that are quickly making PPE equipment and everything, what happens if it fails? There's a design flaw or a safety flaw. And then the last is the part of it. So the other part of it would be, what if they didn't get a test and they had it? It was a lot of questions that I hadn't even thought about that I think is probably going to be even bigger down the road. And I know they're looking at some fees on some things, and I'm still waiting to get the final information on that to digest it a little bit before I share it completely, to try to raise some revenue. But I don't think it's going to be a fun year. I mean, Morgan County right now, we have the highest infection rate in the state. We are a county of 28,000 people, and we already have 22 deaths, and we're reaching the 500 mark of infections really quickly. And we don't even have heavy duty testing here. We have 3 hotspots, but they are less than half of what the total numbers are. So there's a huge amount of community spread. And Logan County and Weld County are right behind us, and those are all Pro 15 counties as we move forward. So I think there's going to be a lot of issues that we never even dreamed that we will have to address. I just noticed this morning that one of the vice president's staff has tested positive. One of the president's staff has tested positive. It's not going away anytime soon. And I think we're going to have to look at a new normal, a new way. I'm not sure I like that word. I always hate when we come up with these phrases for the next generation of issues. But I think our businesses also have to look at how they need to adjust to not only survive the rest of the year, but to be prepared for something like this that might come on down the road. So it's going to be very interesting. And the other thing that this affects that probably has not normally happened, but groups such as Pro 15 are majorly impacted. We're a membership-based organization, but we're not a 501c3, so we qualify for no relief or anything else. And so like Club 20, Action 22, Pro 15, Colorado Livestock, all of those groups that are membership-based organizations are truly going to have some issues as we move forward, as businesses and groups choose this not to be a priority as far as membership goes. Then you have the same thing with 501c3s in donations and the work that they do. So And even if they lay off a large amount of state employees, those are still people that were earning a salary and spending money in your community that are now no longer doing that. So I would not want to be governor. I would not want to be a representative or a senator right now, either at the state or federal level. And I wouldn't want to be a county commissioner or a city councilman right now. So, Alec, that was a long way around what you asked for, but
No, I think that's helpful information. So for Pro 15 itself, I mean, do you have financial concerns in the short term for this organization?
we do. We have enough money right now, and the only money we spend is my payroll. The governor is on, so we'll.
Okay.
But anyhow, Pro 15 has got about a month and a half worth of money left for payroll. And then we'll look at possibly me filing for unemployment or something like that. We won't fold. It'll just be, we'll be working in a different place than we are right now. So with that, I'm very excited that Governor Jared Polis is on with us. And as I told all of you earlier, we are recording this, so don't make faces at him or anything like that. We'll let the governor give a quick statement, and then I have questions that you all sent in. And then I see you're putting some questions in the chat room here, which is great, and we'll get to as many of those as we can. So with that, Governor Polis, thank you very much for joining Pro 15, and it's 15 counties in Northeast Colorado. We know you have a lot of calls on your time, and we want to thank you for your leadership. And we all were just discussing how we didn't want your jobs, so none of us will be running against you in 2 years from now. So I'll let you do an opening statement, and then we'll start with some of the questions.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy. It's a very important time to talk about what's going on in northeastern Colorado. Right now, Morgan County has the highest percentage of cases in the state relative to population. We've also, as you know, seen a spike in Weld County. I think your entire region is in the safer at home stage now, meaning that stores are open, businesses are open. And kind of the next phase in will be restaurants in the next few weeks. We're working on the guidelines around those. Also, a lot of interest on the flexibility for places of worship. That's also very much in the next phase. But would really kind of love to hear about the county virus suppression efforts. As you know, before the successful effort of Coloradans to stay at home, the virus was increasing at 66%. It's now down to like 1.4%. So now we just have to sustain it, which means social distancing, wearing masks where you can, really doing everything in a new and safer way. And that includes at, production facilities where, folks are wearing masks and some of them are reworking their protocols so people can be 6 feet away and doing that work. Given that parts of northeastern Colorado are being hard hit, we're also really making sure the state can partner to provide better resources. We did free testing about a mile from the JBS facility in Weld County. Anybody could come. Over 1,000 people came. We partnered with the Colorado National Guard. That was at Island Grove Regional Park. We're working with Larimer and Phillips and Yuma and Kit Carson and Elbert. As well for communities, for giving supplies to community testing sites. We know that in many of your counties, folks might have to drive, in 45 minutes, an hour, even 2 hours to get to a testing site. So we want to make sure those testing sites are there so that we can have early intelligence on what's going on. And not every community has the same experience with COVID, of course. Some steps we know work everywhere, staying home when you can and wearing masks and keeping your distance from others. But at the end of the day, we're all in this together. People move back and forth across our state. We want to work with all of our counties in northeastern Colorado to have as robust an economic recovery as possible and continue to work with you to give your counties the help they need to keep your residents safe.
Following along those lines, Governor, with Morgan County and Logan County, being two of the hardest hit. And Logan County is more a hot spot in the state prison. But in Morgan County, even though we have the three hot spots, over half of our cases are community spread.
Yeah.
Is anybody working with you or you working with us to get some testing in those areas?
Yeah, we'd be happy to. Those requests usually come in through county health. Maybe we have somebody from county health here. Also in Logan, it's more than just, it's in the prison, but guess, the prison guards live in the community.
Right.
They have spouses and kids. They work in the community. So it's not really in either place limited to just that facility. You're absolutely right. It's community spread because people that work in those facilities live in the community, right? I mean, they're members of the community. Their spouse might, work as a receptionist somewhere, and their kids are in school, and they're going to the grocery store, or they work in retail. So, I mean, they're not really isolated. So we are very concerned about Logan and Morgan. We're happy to help with more testing. The requests can come in through the county health, but we're ready to deploy that.
Okay, and I know we have some county residents on here, so mark that on your little notepads that you're taking. Switching gears just a little bit, because we are pretty much a rural area out here, and anything like this really hits us hard, anything that affects our economy. We've been very concerned about the commissions that are still working at the state level, setting rules, air quality control, oil and gas. And we wondered if there was any possibility of looking at setting regional rules. I know that there's an issue on the Front Range, and I fully understand it. I don't like the brown cloud when I go up there either. But we have a little different setup on the Eastern Plains, and it doesn't take much. We have one operator out here that in one county spends about a little over $2 million, and 200,000 of that is in property taxes. And when those get shut down, it just devastates a community. So ours is, we've got COVID going through here that we're all trying to address. And now we've got the commissions moving forward that are still setting rules and regulations. And we're having a hard time keeping up with everything that's going on. And I guess we kind of either like a pause or have them look at a more regional approach to this so we don't get a double whammy.
I mean, have they done anything that's hurt any businesses, or is it more just a fear that they might?
Well, the rules they're proposing will definitely hurt us because it's that one size fits all.
Rules for what type of activity?
Especially air quality.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our air quality out here is good, so could it be a metering system? Just because it's bad in Broomfield doesn't mean that the quality of the air is bad in Yuma, Colorado. And these are small operators out here. These aren't the big mega Anadarko guys. They're smaller operators, smaller service companies. And so
these are draft rules before the Air Quality Control Commission that you're talking about?
Yes, and some draft rules before on Senate Bill 181. And okay. I guess ours, and I know the 181 Commission, that part has slowed down. Air Quality Control sometimes get to the hearings to provide information, or we have to do it online, which is not always the best way to do it. And it's kind of like, slow it down, give us a chance to breathe. I think we can work it all out to where everybody is happy.
Okay. We'll pass that along. I didn't realize that they were working on something that would affect that, but I'm happy to elevate that. Adam can see what they're doing.
And I think I know the answer to this next one, but I hear it all the time. I know my chamber people hear it, my economic development people hear it. Why are more small businesses closed or have to follow stricter rules than the big box retailers? So out here, it would be the Walmart in Logan County and the Walmart in Morgan County. They got to stay open. They didn't do the masks. They didn't do the only 6 people in a store at a time kind of thing. And I know their grocery and their pharmacy, so that made them an essential business. But they sold a lot of other things that our small Main Street businesses also sold that had to shut down. And was there any consideration? How do we handle that in the future?
Well, that's all behind us. Everybody's open now, right?
Well, except for restaurants, but yes.
Right. Yeah.
But there's
And yeah,
still
it was
the
grocery and
numbers.
pharmacy. It was grocery and pharmacy because they needed to be open. So even
Yeah.
your small Main Street pharmacists were open too, of course. And as we're, you know, if you had any small neighborhood grocers, it didn't really discriminate on size. It was more what they sold, because people need their prescriptions and they need their groceries.
Okay. And you're right. It's behind us. It was just, they're still letting people flood the store. So they're not really practicing any social distancing like our small Main Street businesses are.
Mhm.
And we have that concern as we move forward. Electronic signature gathering. I know that's an idea that you have put forward. Can that still work and make sure that the signatures are gathered from around the state like they're supposed to? Or
Yeah, well, there's you know there's several reasons in our democracy that people need to gather signatures. They need to do it if they are running for office and want to be on the ballot, if they have a citizens initiative that they want to place. And so we're trying to figure out how folks can do that, given that they can't be doing the large, you know, public gatherings that they used to. So that we're working on how to do that in a way that honors our Constitution, which gives people the right to be able to petition.
okay, I wondered how that would be different from signature gathering to get on the ballot.
All the signature gathering would be the
Senator,
same. Yeah,
yeah.
it would all be treated the same.
All the same way. Okay. Para. What can you tell us about potential para cuts?
No updates on that yet. Under the market performance, even before COVID-19, you know that there's an increased employer share and employee share that kicks in. That'll be there for the foreseeable future, is all I know. But I haven't gotten an update from PARA post-COVID. PARA is more of a long-term investment instrument. So what really matters is how things are, you know, and how the recovery is in a year and 2 years. These fluctuations over a period of months don't have as big an impact on PARA.
Okay, so what they're looking at now is a bigger employee contribution versus cuts in what goes out to the people that have already retired.
You know, no, that already kicked in under the formula from last year, the greater share. So I haven't, you know, gotten an update from PARA, but it's not terribly important to them what the markets are doing on a month or 2 months or 3 months. It's more about a year, 5 years, 10 years. So obviously that could have an impact if this is a prolonged economic event, but not so much the fluctuations.
One of the questions was about Pedal the Plains, but I already know we've canceled that for this year. And I think that was supposed to be in my neck of the woods again this year.
Well, see you all next year. I did
Yeah.
a video for it. I enjoyed it last year. We brought our kids, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody next year.
What are your thoughts on tourism for the state this summer? It's probably a bigger impact on the western slope than maybe out in the Northeast Plains, but we still do have a lot of tourism dollars coming through as they travel through our areas.
Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of tourism. Obviously, tourists can come, especially once our restaurants are open in the next few weeks. And I assume all your lodging and hotels are open. They've been open this whole time, right?
As far as I'm aware, yes.
So, I mean, some counties have shut them down, but I don't think any of yours have. But yeah, there's not going to be a lot of tourists. You know, it'll be a fraction of what it normally is. There's no question.
Time to explore in our own backyards. Let's see. We've got time for a couple more questions, so I'm going to ask one of those two. Now I know who Baramus is or whatever. I was trying to figure out who this person was here. What are your plans if we have a spike again? I would say 80% of the people that walk past my office window do not have a mask on and are not socially distancing, which might be why we have such a high rate. But what are your plans if we don't have this under control and it spikes again?
Yeah, I mean, the hope is that it wouldn't spike everywhere all at once, and I don't think it will. But we will have to, working with county health, whether it's site specific or regional or county, we have to make sure that we work with the county folks to get a handle on it. So I don't think it's going to be exactly the same in every area of our state. I don't think it's going to go back to kind of a threat to overwhelm hospitals across our state, but we do have very real, regional concerns that we have to make sure the county health departments are on top of it. We're happy to partner with testing and resources, and make sure that we're able to get through this.
And I guess the other question is that we're noticing we have a large free and reduced lunch population out here, which affects Medicaid. And I notice that there's cuts in Medicaid. How seriously do you think that's going to impact the smaller rural counties that have bigger populations of less
Well, I
income?
think the budget cuts are going to affect every county. Obviously, many of the rural counties get a lot of support from Medicaid and free and reduced lunch. So, just as it's a difficult time for businesses, obviously there's going to be belt tightening across the government, major cutbacks in really every area of the budget. So and that's happening, I'm sure, at your county level and your municipal level as well. I would expect nearly every county and municipality, as well as the state itself.
All right. Well, we thank you for being with us today. Do you have any last things that you'd like to share with us? Maybe a big scoop that only Northeastern Colorado has?
Well, I hope to see you all in person soon. I think you're all in the safer at home phase here.
Kathy, I've got a question. I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel it's an important one though. Given the rural communities and just the population density and the ratio differences, has there been given any consideration to letting local health officials review individual business plans for, say, gyms and other facilities that aren't allowed to be open right now, with reasonable steps in place to move forward?
Yeah, I think several counties from eastern Colorado already are just getting variance requests in. Mesa and Eagle already have them. So yeah, there's a process where you can prioritize what you need to open. Restaurants are already open, for instance, in Mesa County, Colorado, and while they'll be open statewide in probably 2 or 3 weeks, if there's a need to go a little bit earlier, there's a way to do that. So yeah, we welcome those ideas from counties. The county has to have 14 days of decreased transmission. So I don't think Morgan would be able to do that yet. I'd have to look.
Well, and that's my question, is not the county itself, but individual businesses. Like, we have gyms that can put an individual plan in place and allow only a certain number of people and disinfect and do everything like that. But currently they're not allowed to be open. And my question is more, have you considered giving local health departments or regional health departments more authority in reviewing and approving those individual plans based on our current situations and what the hospitals say?
So the state isn't looking at individual business plans. It's there'd be too many, but counties that meet the criteria are requesting variance, and that variance could include, hey, here's our plan to open our health clubs. Here's the plan to open our gyms. Here's what we're doing. And so those are all very normal parts of the variance that would then come from the county. I mean, the county could put in there that we are then, certifying businesses, if that's what you're saying, or we're looking at the actual business has to submit a plan to the county. That could certainly be part of a variance request.
Okay.
Any last words, Governor?
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank everybody that's on the phone, and y'all have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.